Hi, my name is Brandon, and I'm an alcoholic and addict in recovery. And today is kind of a special day for me because a year ago today, I did the first installment of what's become this video, this daily video that I post. In the beginning, I was just writing, but every day for the past 365 days, I have either written or posted a video about something recovery related out to the recovery based social media accounts that I'm on and that I follow. And it's become an incredibly important part of my recovery. And it made me reflect on the importance of consistency and daily practice in recovery and why that's been so important to me. So I wanted to speak on that a little bit, but first wanted to tell you some of why I started doing this. I got out of, I went into treatment on December 16th, 2019, residential treatment, and I was there for about a month. And so I got out of treatment mid-January and then was in a partial hospitalization program where I went to recovery-based therapy and classes all day for about 2 weeks. When I got done with that, I went back to work, but I went into an intensive outpatient program for 6 weeks. So about mid-March, a little bit earlier, I finished my IOP program and was officially back into the real world. And I was ready to start going to meetings and exploring the rich recovery community of the town that I live in. I live in San Antonio, Texas. Very rich recovery community. So lucky to be here. And I was ready to start exploring that, making new friends, really doing a lot of social things. And then about a week later, the pandemic hit and everything shut down, including pretty much all of the AA and recovery based meetings that I was able to go to. And it kind of threw things into chaos. It was very hard for a lot of people, and I was still searching to find the rhythm in my own recovery and what I wanted to do on a day to day basis and what was necessary for me to do on a day to day basis in order to stay sober, in order to have successful recovery. And so I kind of floundered for a little bit. I went through some good times, some bad times, and I'm very fortunate that the program that I was a part of, the treatment center that I went to, gave us a treasure trove of tools that we could use in our recovery. So I was kind of trying different ones on for size, trying to figure out which ones made the most sense to me on a daily basis. Some days I needed, journaling. Some days I needed affirmations in the morning. But I was just trying to figure out what made sense to me. And one day I had gotten onto the recovery center I was part of has a Facebook page for all its alumni. And I had started looking at that, started paying a little bit more attention to that. And one day I read something that in an email that I got every day called Daily Ponderables that collects uh, recovery based quotes and spiritual quotes and things like that. And I got this email and I read something that really made a lot of sense to me. And I'll read it to you in a second. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to take a minute just to write a quick note about this and post it to the Facebook page. And something in that clicked because I've always loved writing, and it felt like the right thing to do to share my thoughts about what I had read and the impact it had on me with other people. And since I couldn't do that in a meeting, it made sense to do it online. So I did it the next day and the day after that. And pretty soon, this became a very critical part of my daily recovery. Pretty soon I got to a point where every day I would get up, I would pour my coffee, and I would go straight in and start looking at the whatever the daily ponderables were for that day, trying to find something that clicked with me and then writing something about it. Not long after I got in that rhythm, someone from the recovery center that I'm associated with asked me, would you consider doing videos instead? Some people like videos instead of reading what had become kind of long winded posts. And so I gave videos a try. And sure enough, I liked this medium. It works really well for me. And so I kept doing that. And I've been keeping it up every day, 365 for the last year. And I am really, really um, uh, disciplined about it. And I'm not saying that to try to toot my own horn. I am disciplined about it because I'm worried that if I slack on this part of my recovery, I'm going to start slacking on other parts as well. And this has become a critical piece of my day, sitting down, reflecting on recovery, and trying to figure out a way to share it with other people has really become an important part of my day. And it starts me off in the right way. I've told people before, it is very hard for me to imagine getting drunk or high when I have, 5 hours beforehand recorded a video about recovery. Or it's very hard for me to imagine having some drinks at the end of the day when I know I'm going to wake up the next morning and the first thing I'm going to do is record a video about recovery. So it really helps keep me grounded, keep my feet on the ground where I need to be. So a year ago, what I had written, I'll just read it out to you. See if it still makes sense. I haven't read it yet. Good morning and happy Friday, folks. I read this line in today's daily reflection and it stood out to me. I experienced fear early in my life and I mistakenly thought that the mere presence of it made me a coward. I didn't know that one of the definitions of courage is the willingness to do the right thing in spite of fear. So that was the daily reflection. And then my response to that was, sometimes it's tough to remember that it isn't our emotions that define us, it's how we react to them and what we do with them that are most important. What are you afraid of today, and what are you going to do with that fear? So, I do feel like that's still very true, and a lesson that I'm still learning. So years passed, and I'm still struggling with remembering that it's not my emotions that define me. It's how I react to them, what I do with them. And I feel like the last couple of months for me have been a little bit of a struggle. I have been having to go back to basics in a lot of places. And so it's a good time to reflect on what those basics are, why they're important, but it's also a good time to remember why it's so important to me to do these things every day. Because if I keep this in my life, if I keep moving forward with this in my life, then I can keep my mind focused on recovery. Sometimes when life gets frustrating, I think it's easy to let things go. And if I just keep some discipline and have daily activities already planned that are recovery based, then it makes it so much harder for me to say, uh, for lack of a better word, F it. You guys know what I'm saying there. Um, so for those of you who do watch these videos, for those of you who have interacted with me over social media, talked to me about some of the things I posted, thank you. I look forward to any feedback anybody gives anytime. Most of all, I hope that you can find the things that make you tick in recovery, because that's what makes it really worth it. When you can find those things that you can do on a daily basis that give you spiritual fulfillment and hopefully help other people, that's where the good stuff is. Because we didn't used to do that kind of thing in our addiction. Hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow with more from the book Living Sober.